Hello, welcome to another edition of your program Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. On Legends of Our Time, we celebrate our heroes. My name is Gifty Iji, and my guest for today is Professor Ernest Aryeetey, a former Vice Chancellor, University of Ghana. Hi, sir. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
You have a nice house.
Thank you very much.
So let's begin with your career path. In 2010, the University Council settled on you as the Vice Chancellor for Ghana's premier university, University of Ghana. In your opinion, what do you think better positioned you for that kind of position?
Oh, thank you very much for the question. Before I became Vice Chancellor, I had been at the University of Ghana for well over 23 years.
Okay.
So I had been through all the different aspects of one's career development at the university. I spent more than 7 years as director of ISA. That's the main social science research institute there. I believe that the University Council settled on me, to quote you, largely because of my achievements at ISA.
Okay.
We had seen very remarkable change at ISA. We had seen remarkable improvements in capacity. ISA was doing very, very well compared to many other units of the university. So it was a situation of, why don't we get this guy to do for the bigger university what he has done at ISA? So that, I think, was the main story behind my appointment.
So how did you take it when the news came to you that you've been selected as the Vice Chancellor?
I was excited. I certainly was glad that the appointment had been made. I was grateful to the Council for recognizing my potential. So I took it as a big challenge. How do you do for a much bigger entity what you've done for a smaller unit? So it was for me a new big challenge, one that I thought I'd been prepared for throughout my life. I didn't go to the university to work simply hoping to become Vice Chancellor. I never really thought about it. I never dreamed
possible someday.
It was possible. I mean, it wasn't something that I had focused on.
Okay.
You know, if you know me well and the way I work, it's one day at a time. So I took whatever responsibilities I had one day at a time. I didn't come sitting and say, oh, I'm waiting for the day I'll become Vice Chancellor. No. It was not one of my...
It came naturally.
It came, I wouldn't say naturally, it came as a recognition of something that had been done before. I guess my CV compelled them to do it. Yeah.
Now, let's look, when you came to University of Ghana, you had a 7-point vision that actually did the magic for you. Briefly, let's touch on them. We can start with the most important of the 7 and then we come gradually to the others.
Yeah. You know, having been at the university for over 23 years, I had a fair idea of what the problems of the university were. I had seen the university go through good and bad times. I had seen students perform well and not perform well. I had seen the faculty do amazing things at different times and appalling things at other times.
Okay.
I had seen the management good and sometimes very bad. You know, so it wasn't a new thing for me. When I said I was going to focus on research as my number one priority, it didn't surprise many people who knew me because they knew the background that I was coming from, having run a research institute and believing that the university's main focus should be on research. I had been dismayed over the years by the fact that the university didn't seem to appreciate research much. But I knew that the future of the African university was going to be research, you know. Yeah. I knew that, and many of my colleagues in a similar situation also knew that the challenge was going to be how to convince other people that this is what we should be doing and pay attention, devoting resources to that. But I'm glad that we were able to do that. So many of the things we introduced, including creating centers of excellence to support research, strengthening the Office for Research, Innovation and Development, supporting young academics to pursue research as a career. These were things that came to me naturally. And these are things also that I saw around the world. This is where the global university is going. You know, so why can't we do it in Ghana?
So I'm not cutting, but how important is research to our society?
Research is everything. If you take a place like Ghana, we are a poor developing nation. We are in dire need of structural transformation where we are able to process the primary commodities that we produce, and the process of transformation is what is going to lead to creating jobs and so on. If we don't transform the structure of our economy, we're not going anywhere, no matter what politicians say. And to be able to do that transformation, you need new knowledge about what to do in terms of production, new knowledge in terms of what to do about the delivery of service, new knowledge in every facet of our lives. That new knowledge can only come from research. You know. So I tell you one thing: if we don't intensify our search for new knowledge, if we don't intensify our interest in research, in another 100 years, Ghana will be just like this. It will be not just Ghana, but the whole of Africa. It will just be the third-rate citizens of the world. Where everybody is doing things that we tag on. We attach ourselves to what they are doing. You know, if there are benefits from that, yes, fine. I would never be able to dictate what we want to do.
Sure.
So research, for me, is the bottom line.
Very critical.
There's nothing you can do in Africa to bring about transformation if you don't apply new knowledge, new ways of doing things.
And also build on the
Precisely.
existing one.
Precisely.
Okay, so beyond research, which other areas?
So we were very focused on the academics, the teaching and learning. That was my second priority area. You know, the university needed infrastructure that would facilitate modern ways of teaching and learning. Lecture rooms were very old. They didn't have modern equipment. Our laboratories were completely overshadowed by the fact that they had not seen any significant investment for many, many years.
Equipment.
Precisely. Students doing science couldn't do any significant practical work because the labs were too small, poorly equipped. They had no reagents. Lecturers had not been exposed to new ways of teaching. The students had become accustomed to extremely poor ways of delivery. The examination system was in disarray.
Wow.
So there were problems.
Sure.
The student accommodation was bad. The library was horrible. And, you know, so things had to change.
So how did you get funding?
For me, it wasn't an issue of should we do it or not do it. You had no choice. You had no choice but to reform student accommodation. You had no choice but to look at the infrastructure. You had no choice but to buy equipment for your science labs. You had no choice but to build new laboratories. You had no choice. It wasn't for anyone to tell me that, oh, there's no money. There's no money, find it. A leader's job is to solve problems.
Solve problems.
If you have been appointed a vice chancellor and you are afraid of
taking the bold decisions.
Don't waste anybody's time.
So in all these areas that you've talked about, it's capital intensive. So how did you get the money to fund all that?
Oh, it wasn't a matter of how did I get the money. I mean, basically, you had to find the money. And as a university, you find money through many different means. An obvious one is to get students to contribute. One that always gets you to trouble, but there's no choice. You've got to
School
explain to
fees.
them precisely. So we did that. You got to look for more grants. One of the things that I was extremely lucky with when I found young researchers that were eager to apply for grants. So within a matter of the first 3 years, the grants that were coming in for research more than quadrupled.
Okay.
Yes, because young researchers were happy and willing to apply for grants. We urged them on, we supported them. We were providing grants for people to go to conferences. We were providing grants for people to learn how to write grant applications. And the payoff was huge. That changed things. The environment changed.
Okay.
We borrowed money. We borrowed money to buy equipment for the science labs. I remember the first 2 years, we borrowed about $2.5 million to buy new equipment. In the fourth year, we doubled that to $5 million. So a university has to find ways of raising funds. That's the job of the Vice Chancellor. If you're afraid of what people will say, you're going to sit there and live with the mess. That's a choice you also make. But you've got to be bold. You've got to don't worry about what people will say. You do it because it's the right thing to do. When you're a leader of any institution, you have to be driven by common sense. If I don't do it, what will be the cost to the people, the students?
Opportunity cost.
Precisely. These students are going to suffer because you fail to invest in them. The government wants to do it, but says it can't do it. Fine. Let the government not interfere with what you are seeking to do. It's important for the government to understand that it's a problem to be solved. You can't use political means to solve every problem. You've got to find the money. And that money will come from many different sources. It's a matter of governments giving you the space to operate, not getting in your way and get worried about the political implications of things. So that's how we tackle it. Another area that we were very interested in was governance. The University of Ghana began in 1940 with a particular structure where there was a vice chancellor, a registrar, and a pro-vice chancellor, deans, about 4 deans, 5 deans later. It was for a small university. By the time I came to university students, there were about 4,500 of us in the whole university. By the time I became vice chancellor, there were 26,000 students, regular students, and another 10,000 students doing distance education. So clearly, when you move from 3,000 to 36,000, you can't use the same infrastructure to run the university. You can't use the same governance arrangement to run the university. It's not going to be effective. You can't be the vice chancellor that sits at the top and decides everything for the whole university. No, it's not going to work. They won't even mind you. And everybody does what he or she wants to do. The need to decentralize had been mooted long before I became vice chancellor. There were people who were resisting that decentralization. I believed in decentralization. Why? Because I had studied it for my PhD. For my PhD, I had studied what it meant to decentralize a public administration. So I knew the benefits of decentralization. One have to be careful, however, in applying it to a university system. How do you decentralize? Because in decentralization, some people are going to lose power. And those people are not going to sit there and just watch you decentralize and let them lose power. I have to convince them by saying, I, as a vice chancellor, I'm giving up a lot of my power to provosts.
Which areas?
So if I am giving my way by power, what about you? It was a lot challenging. You had to convince people. We found subtle ways of nudging people to accept that change. in the end, we were able to create those 4 colleges. How we did it, so that's
Which colleges are you referring to?
College of Health Sciences,
Okay.
Basic and Applied Sciences, Humanities, and then so health education. Education was new. University of Ghana was not doing education. We created a College of Education.
College of Education.
Yes. So these are the 4 colleges that we created.
Under your regime.
Yes, and basically took away a huge part of the powers of the Vice Chancellor and gave them to provosts of
those colleges.
Precisely. You know, a 4th area that I was very interested in was finances. How do we bring money to this university? How do we raise money for research? How do we raise money for the infrastructure? I give you a good example.
Okay.
The roads were in a mess.
That's the big one.
Legal roads were horrible, horrible. Potholes. If you look at the road from the what do you call it, the Senate hostels to what today we call the TF entrance to the university, it was a dirt road. In the rainy season, it couldn't be used. In the dry season, it was just giving away dusty, causing a lot of problems for students and everybody else. The university had to do something about its roads, and because of the road construction to Medina, a lot of the traffic had been diverted through the campus. So that's what was caused. You know, in those days, if I left my office at the Vice Chancellor's Crescent to go to Noguchi at about 9 a.m., it could take me about 30 minutes.
Why?
Because of traffic.
Traffic.
You know, so your university had been taken over by taxis, by patrol and tipper trucks and private vehicles that have nothing to do with the university. This is a problem.
And he wanted to control it.
Precisely.
And he had a problem.
Yes,
tell us the story behind
the
whole.
It was a very interesting story. So you see, so people pass through your campus, they destroy your roads. They destroy a lot of the nice things that made Legon what it used to be. And they're able to laugh at you. They call you, say, Vice Chancellor, can't you see that there are too many potholes on your campus? So you've got to deal with it.
Got to deal with it.
So how do you fix your potholes when government hasn't given you money for maintaining your roads for more than 10 years?
So how did you fix it?
So I brought a proposal. I mean, that's one thing I am very happy about. I always have a proposal about how to solve a particular problem. So I came and I said to my colleagues, you know, why don't we asphalt our roads? They say, hey, where are we going to get the money from? I said, yeah, the users will pay for it. The users will pay for it. That's common sense, isn't it? It's common sense.
It is.
You want to use the road,
you have to pay.
There's no tax money to do it. So you pay for it. When you use the motorway, you pay for it, don't you?
You do.
So you do the same thing here. People thought it was going to be a very difficult thing. We worked through the process. We knew how much it was going to cost us to construct, to asphalt the major roads. It was going to cost us 8 million cedis.
Okay.
We went to the bank and said we want to borrow 8 million cedis. They said, well, show us how you're going to pay for it. So yes, we're going to charge. We're going to charge for the use of the roads. I went to the government. You know, in those days they used to say that we never. It's not true.
Okay.
I went to the government. We spoke to the government from the top all the way down to the ministries.
Okay.
Ministry of Road and Transport. We spoke to them. They didn't say don't do it. When we cut the sod for the construction of the road, the Minister of Road and Transport came to do it. In his speech, he said, when these roads are completed, they will be tolled. He said,
wow.
You see, so the government knew the roads were going to be
from
tolled.
Day one.
Precisely. As soon as we did it, and there was a huge
backlash.
A huge uproar with people complaining about traffic through the politicians panicked. They always do, don't they?
They do.
They panicked.
Okay.
They panicked, and then pressmen got in, and everybody was up in arms, you know. So in the end, we were forced to stop the tolling of the roads. And the government offered to pay the 8 million that we had gone to borrow. I thought it was an extremely poor way to use public resources. You know, the investors are going to borrow money. They have asked you to pay for it.
Okay.
So I'll pay for it so that we don't have to charge people to use their roads. Without thinking about the longer term implications, without thinking about what it means for governance of institutions, without thinking about what it meant for the public purse.
Sure.
It was a waste of public resources.
So they paid the money.
They did pay after a while. They did
but
pay.
we still can't access the route through some point.
Yes, but you see, for me, paying for the fixing of the roads was one part of the problem. The other part was the traffic congestion. We still needed to control access to the campus. That's why we brought this idea that, okay, fine, if you want to pass through Legon, you got to buy a sticker. There's one way in which you can use to enter Legon to do whatever you want to do.
That's your Opunglo
Precisely.
side.
So you can use that one to enter Legon. Don't cost you anything.
Okay.
But we will not allow you to pass through Legon from East Legon to West Legon. You have to pay us something.
After government's paying you the money.
The government paid for the use of the road. The government did pay for the time they spend on the road from Sabaho to Noguchi.
Wow.
So it's important for governments to understand that running a university is not like running a shoe factory. It's a very big business. It's something that's very delicate. The university has to survive.
Sure.
By all means. And the university survivor, one of the things I used to hear in those days, which used to irritate me quite a bit, was they are making money. So what is wrong with the university making money? Anyway, what is wrong? I mean, if factories can make money, why can't universities make money? And the universities don't make money for themselves.
For the school.
The universities don't make money for the vice chancellor's pocket. They don't make money for the dean's pocket. They make money so they can give students a better life. They make money so they can provide better roads. They make money so they can do more research. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what universities do all over the world. It's about time that in Ghana we understood that a university making money is not wrong.
It's not wrong.
If you worry about what they will do with the money, what you ensure is accountability. They should account for the money they make. You see, they should account for the money they make. I see governments in Ghana, civil servants included, who want to control the university's ability to make money. It is wrong. It is wrong, and most of that is motivated by selfish reasons anyway. These people are becoming too powerful. People are becoming this way. It's an arrogant way of trying to usurp authority of the universities.
Okay.
It is not for any reason that universities all over the world are given some freedom to do the thing that they have to do to run. Universities shouldn't depend on politicians or civil servants for their daily chores in terms of determining what to do. Universities must be free to determine what to teach, what kind of research to do, and which means that they must be financially independent. And that's something that I have devoted my life to, fighting for the independence of universities. I know that in Ghana, politicians can't stand the idea. They are afraid of free universities, whether military or civilian. They are always afraid of strong, well-run universities. But it's got to be that way.
But it's the case that at some point in time, government would want to intervene?
Every single government in Ghana, from the first days of independence to now, has tried to control universities.
And it's not the best.
It's not the best. It is going on today. It is a very, very bad thing. It shouldn't be countenanced by Ghanaians. It's not only the university that should be fighting against it. It is every Ghanaian should know that a university that is not independent is going to be a bad university. And if it's bad, it's going to be bad for Ghana, not just for the Vice Chancellor.
Yeah,
it's going to be bad for Ghana. I expect students to fight for it. I expect the faculty to fight for it. The independence of a university should not be compromised. Sometimes when you talk about the independence of the university, people think that you don't want to be accountable. No. Accountability and independence are separate things. You can be independent and yet accountable. And that's how it should be. You see, if you are independent and not accountable, it is wrong. It's bad governance. It is bad governance. But me being accountable to you does not mean you tell me what I should do.
Then probably it looks like government doesn't know how to go about it.
That's
so what would you propose that government should do to ensure that the universities become accountable?
You see, that's why you have audit services. It is their responsibility to show that every single dollar, penny, cedi that the university earns is accounted for. That every single action taken by the university is explained in its governance instruments. You know, so you hold people to account. You don't tell them what to do. Quite recently, the government introduced one act to govern all the public universities. And I wrote, and I got a lot of backlash from government circles. I wrote against it.
Was it a radical piece?
It wasn't a radical piece. Basically, it was just simply saying that what the government was doing was wrong.
Okay.
I stand by it. You know, I stand
What
by
act
it.
was that?
Oh no, the Public Universities Act, a new Public University,
Okay.
Public Universities Bill, which sought basically to create one instrument for governing all public universities.
Okay.
You know, it was a very, very bad proposal. I don't know where it's gotten now, but it's something that if it's ever brought back, I will fight against. I will devote all my retirement years in fighting against it.
Wow.
Taking away the independence of universities.
That's touch.
You see, they say it's not true. They say it's not. I mean, all you need to do is here read it, and you can see quite clearly. It is designed to weaken public universities. It's designed to take away their capacity to plan their future. It is designed to make all of them look alike. You know, and when universities look alike, it's not only boring; it's effective.
Well, that's tough. That's, you know, that's big. I'll have to take a quick break, but before I do that, my last question in terms of your career path. Today you're on pension for the University of Ghana. When you sit back, how do you feel? Do you think you've been able to achieve your set target of becoming the Vice Chancellor at University of Ghana? Are you happy with what you did?
Oh yes. I think I retired from the university a very happy man. You should have been at the send-off party that was organized for me. You know, when I heard my colleagues, especially when I heard the chairman of the University Council read a statement about my term of office.
What did he say?
He spoke about all the changes that had taken place at the university, the things that they had achieved, they had not anticipated, that had done far more than they expected.
Okay.
When I listened to other members of the council speaking similar terms, basically I walked away with the conviction that I had more than achieved what I was appointed to do. I was appointed, when I remember saying at my induction that I'm going to make the University of Ghana one of the top 10 universities in Africa.
Is it the case today?
By the time I was leaving office, we were the 7th highest ranked university in Africa.
That's great.
So we came from nowhere and became the 7th.
But what was their position before and then after?
Before we came in, we had never been ranked by the Times Higher Education.
Never qualified.
We had never been ranked, you know. There were other forms of ranking, the metrics and others. And all of them we improved significantly.
Okay.
You know, by the Times Higher Education, the first time we were ranked, I think we were about 15 or so. And then we moved from 15 to 7.
To 7.
Within 2 years.
That's quite significant.
Yes. So, but you know, I don't think universities are all about rankings. I was happy with the fact that young academics were doing research. Young academics were being recognized for the work they were doing. I was very happy with the fact that they were publishing some of them were publishing
research projects
in good journals. I was happy with the fact that they're becoming globally competitive. You know, when I travel and I see young Legon lecturers do presentations at international conferences and they do them well and everybody's happy with what they are doing, I feel very proud.
You know, one of your institutions in Gucci today, it's one of our major research facility in Ghana. They're able to do a lot of complex research projects, and that's good.
So you got to support a place like Noguchi.
Noguchi.
You see, you got to support a place like Noguchi. We expect Noguchi to perform wonders. We got to put resources into Noguchi. if we do, and allow them to the space to determine
To operate.
all these worries about Ebola, about
coronavirus,
and so on. Yes, these are real things, but there are people there who know these things and can early enough tell us what to do.
What to do.
Yeah. We don't just have a Noguchi and then sit there and watch it. We've got to invest in it.
I think, Prof, we can take our first break now, and then when we come back, we'll talk more, probably get personal, your early childhood and educational stuff. Just joined us, you're watching Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. My name is Gifty Ejay, and my guest for today is Professor Ernest Aryeetey, a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back shortly. Please do stay. And you're still watching Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. On Legends of Our Time, we celebrate our heroes, our gems, because on a daily basis, they continue to inspire all of us. My name is Gifty Ejay, and my guest for today is Professor Ernest Aryeetey, a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. So, Prof, we've come back. Now, tell us about your early childhood. Per your surname, can I say you are a Ga?
Yes, that's very true.
Which part of Gamashi do you come from?
Yeah. I'm Ga and also Fanti.
Fanti?
Yes.
Hey.
So my father was Ga from Asre, but I grew up in Korlegon.
Okay.
My mother was Fanti from Abradunkwa and Winneba.
Okay.
From the Markin family of Winneba. So I have an interest in both the Ga and the Fanti. My early days were spent outside of Accra.
Okay.
I was born in Kumasi, but that's where my father was stationed at the time. He was stationed in Kumasi, and my mother lived at Nkoko in the eastern region. Where she had a private clinic.
Okay, so she was a nurse.
She was a private midwife.
Midwife.
She was a midwife delivering babies. So that's one thing I always say to my Kwawu friends. Every child born in the Kwawu area between 1945 and 1975 very likely was delivered by my mother.
Your mother. Countless of them, I'm sure.
Precisely. You know. So in those days, there were no hospitals in the Kwawu area, so that's what she did, delivering babies. Yeah.
And your father, what kind of?
My father was a civil servant.
A civil servant,
yes, who went from town to town for the Ministry of Food and Agriculture in those days. Yes, was in charge of produce inspection.
Okay.
They used to have those days the Division of Produce Inspection, which is now a part of Cocoa Board.
Okay.
And their job was basically to ensure that all of our exports met particular standards. And so that's what he did.
But he was a big man.
Yeah, well, I mean, considering what they were doing, yes. So my schooling started.
Show your siblings. Who are your siblings? How many of them?
So they I have quite a number of siblings from both my father's side and then my mother's side. Yeah. I've the oldest of my siblings today is Mr. Andrew Aryeetey, who is almost 85 years old.
Okay.
My younger sister Adeline Lives like that way. She's almost 60.
Okay.
In between, there are quite a number of us.
Number of us. So what kind of family did you grow in?
A very regular Ghanaian family. Nothing. We're not a rich family.
Okay.
We're a poor family.
Average family.
Average family, yes.
Okay.
The type of family where everybody goes to school. You have no choice but to go to school.
To go to school.
A kind of family where everybody on Sunday went to church.
Went to church.
And a kind of family where knowing who your cousins were
Okay.
was very important. The kind of family where you were basically brought up to respect older people. Show them respect, whether they were blood relations or not. So long as they were older than you were. It was a very basic Ghanaian middle class family.
But very disciplined.
Very disciplined, yes. So my father was a very strict person. He didn't countenance bad behavior, easily. And my mother was strict also, but a lot more accommodating than my father. But we had a fairly decent life. You know, I first went to primary school at Nkoko.
Okay.
So I spent my first 3 years schooling at Nkoko. After the third year, I was moved together with my siblings to Accra, where we attended Radiant Way Preparatory School at Corlegon. And that was, for me, a major change. A major change in the sense that not simply moving from a public school to a private school, moving away from speaking Akan in my environment to having to learn Ga at age 8, and adapting to life in Accra. But the transition was fairly smooth. We dealt with the usual challenges of moving from place to place. We quickly adapted to the new school and the new environment, the new kids. And I formed many lifelong relationships there. Many of my best friends today are people that I've known from my colleague on the days. Yeah, precisely. You know, we went to different secondary schools, met at the university, continued our friendships, and it's been a very, very interesting life for me. That's one thing I know. I've been happy with my life. I've been very happy with the family I was born into. I've been very happy with the friendships I've formed. From Radiant Preparatory School, I went to Achimota School. I spent 5 years there. 5 years of some of the best times in my life. You know, the mates that I met at Achimota have today become my most loyal friends. These are people that I hang out with from time to time. These are people that whose children have become my children. My children have become their children. At Chimota, I went to Presec, where the experience was quite different. Presec was a boys' school. I had come from a mixed school to a boys' school. And over here, there was a lot to do with the independence of the student. You didn't follow too rigid a regime in terms of what studies and so on. So I always tell people that at Thatch Motor School, I learned how to follow rules. At Presec, I learned how to be independent and yet accountable for my actions. You know, so these two experiences have more or less made me who I am today. You know what the rules are, and you know how to apply them, and you know what the sanctions will be for applying them, which is what it teaches you. But Presec, you learn to take responsibility. So which is very much a Presbyterian thing. You learn to take responsibility for your actions. You are free to do whatever you like, but if you mess up,
you'll be dealt with.
Precisely. You know, so this is what has guided me through my life.
And
the Achimota experience plus the Presec
Presec.
experience. I always say I'm probably one of the luckiest Ghanaians. I went to the 2 best schools in Ghana.
Oh yeah, today is still one of the best schools in Ghana. Unfortunately, you couldn't take the last Math and Science Quiz Cup. What are you going to do to support your school?
Oh,
Presec.
that year. So I have to support both Presec
and
Achimota.
Okay.
Yes. I'm talking to those who are responsible on both sides to see what we can do. On the Achimota side, a lot has been done. We are providing a lot of support to Achimota School to do much better. We'll be doing the same thing with Presec.
We'll be doing the same thing.
We will be doing the same thing.
So you're not specific. Not specific.
Yeah, well, it's not just our money. It's not just our money.
Okay.
Money can be a good incentive, but beyond money, you want to find ways of encouraging young people.
Mentoring.
Precisely.
Okay.
Precisely. Okay. And now that I have a lot more time on my hands, I'll be working closely with both institutions to get the best out of them.
So, beyond Presec, you went to University of Ghana?
Then I went to University of Ghana. Spent 3 years there doing my bachelor's degree in economics and statistics. Very enjoyable also. What did I learn from Legon? I learned basically how to take my position in life. I knew that I was in a country where going to university was not very much the norm. Very few people who got the opportunity to go to university. And so I was in a very privileged position. I was in a very privileged position, and therefore so much was expected from me. Having been through secondary school and then coming to university, luckily, being able to get a degree, so much will be expected of me.
But you know, your subject area, statistics and then economics, are 2 major areas that students would naturally run away from this subject. What informed you or motivated you to take a career in statistics and then economics?
I'm not sure that something I believe I fell into these areas by default.
Okay.
I got into them by the time I was entering university. The university offered me about 6 different subjects. And so in my first year I did political science, economics and statistics. And I dropped political science and stayed with the economics and statistics. And then after the second year, I focused on the economics. I did economics because I found it interesting. I did economics because I understood, it helped me to understand the world better. And then I decided, well, since you're doing it, make a career out of it. So that's how I was not, as a young person, dreaming to become an economist. I didn't know what economics was anyway. But with time, after learning it for the A-levels and then studied at the university, I came to appreciate what it was, understood it, liked it, and continued with it.
So today
I have no regrets at all.
You have no regrets?
No regrets at all. I think I've made my contribution, I've made my mark in economics as a discipline globally, and I'm very happy with that.
So you being an expert in the area and also a lecturer of the subject, what do you think we can make or we can do to make these 2 areas, statistics and economics, more appealing to students? Because like you mentioned, there's a lot of advantages in that area. Should we let our children or the public go into that kind of study?
I don't think at the University of Ghana especially that these 2 subjects struggle to find students.
Okay.
I know that in earlier years, students were afraid. They were seen to be very tough disciplines, and so students were afraid to go into them. The discipline of economics has changed significantly.
Okay.
Has changed a lot, and the returns to people who study economics and take it quite far as a career, the returns have been enormous. And this has sort of helped to incentivize people to study economics. Today, even for women, I see many, many more women doing economics than was the case in our time.
Okay.
It's become a very attractive area. Statistics probably less so, largely because the professional opportunities are not that many as seen in the eyes of the public. Even though once you get to know the discipline, you can tell where it can be applied. So this is one of the things that you can apply anywhere at all, any profession at all. You know, so we've got to find ways of marketing the discipline more appropriately.
As an economist, let's do a quick diagnosis of our country today. Let's look at Ghana's economy. I mean, what will be your initial comment? Because today we think our interest rates are high, other indicators are not what we really like them to be. So as an economist, what do you think we can do? First, what are the problems you can identify and how do we solve them?
I didn't realize that you'd be interested in that for this interview. But Ghana's economy has many different types of challenges, you know. But most of them are to do with the absence of structural change. Most of them. I mean, if you look at the Ghanaian economy, what would be the first sign of a problem? The first sign of a problem is its inability to create jobs.
Okay.
That is the first sign that there's a problem.
There's a problem.
Yeah. That
Unemployment.
that even when the economy is doing well, even when the economy is doing well, even when the returns on investments are good, even when profits are very high, even when the macro performance is acceptable, it has had difficulty providing employment
for the youth,
for
especially.
everybody. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the youth especially. So that tells you that there's a structural problem.
There's a problem.
Yeah. So wherever you think your growth is coming from, it is not the type of growth that is leading to
employment creation.
Of course, if you're struggling with creating employment,
Jobs,
then it's going to have an impact on other things like poverty,
trickling effect,
inequality, and so on. These are also going to manifest. So, and the ability of the state to collect taxes will be compromised. So, a lot of the challenges that our economy faces do not come from simply whether we are pursuing sound macroeconomic policies or not. Because those sound macroeconomic policies, if you don't adopt the right ones, they will show you in very bad light within a very short period. Inflation, a weak exchange rate, and so on. They will show very, very clearly high debt and all that, which I think that we have today. But these come and go. They come and go. There are times when we are able to deal with them. There are times when we're not able to deal with them. The one that is lasting is always there for the past 30 or so years is the unemployment one. And the related issues. But solving them is not going to be easy. Solving them requires big sacrifices.
Like what?
In terms of investment choices.
Okay.
It's investment choices that you make that will determine whether you'll be able to create jobs or not. If you choose to make your investments in areas where there will be quick returns within a short period, and no jobs created and so on, fine. A few people will be happy, but most people will not be happy. So the challenge for Ghana is not largely the macro, right now today, as a result of what we've learned over the past 30 years, working with the World Bank, the IMF and so on, we know how to control inflation. It's fairly easy. it's fairly easy.
So
We know how to stabilize things, you know. The government always knows what to do and what not to do.
okay.
The choice, whether you do the right thing or not, is always political. That choice is always political. So it's a choice that government makes. So if you have a bad macroeconomic situation, simply means you made the wrong choice or you made a bad choice.
Bad decisions.
When you turn around and correct them, you will get results within a short period. You know, and we've learned that. But what we haven't learned is how to move beyond that, to move beyond stability or stabilization
Okay.
to proper structural change,
Okay.
where investments are going going to areas that are going to lead to higher productivity within a period of time, lead to employment and so on, with higher returns for everybody. That's what we haven't learned to do.
Okay.
But it's possible to do that.
Okay.
It calls for sacrifice. It may not be politically advantageous in the short term.
The short term,
But
but for the long term.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So from the way you are talking and the tips you are giving, should government come to you, will you be willing to help? We still want to go and teach.
I have spent 30 years of my life providing free advice. I've spent 30 years of my life. I have always helped government when government was interested in my ideas. I have not to say to my government, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in any position. Let me make it clear. I am not interested in any position. I am interested in sharing my views.
Okay, the knowledge.
If anybody wants to know what I think about this or that, I'll be very happy to discuss.
Help.
How do we fix the financial sector? How do we fix the labor market? How do we fix agriculture? How do we fix industry? I'll be happy to talk about these things. I don't need a position to talk about them.
Thank you, Prof, for that confirmation. Take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more with Professor Aryeetey. Please don't go away. Stay with us. Still watching Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. My name is Gifty Ej, and my guest for today is Professor Ernest Aryeetey, a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana. Hello, Prof.
Hi.
Okay, concluding this interview, let's talk about your nuclear family, your beautiful family. I know you have a Moga wife. Tell us about your family.
Yeah. Okay, so my wife is Ellen.
Okay.
She went to Achimota School also, and then went to Infantiman Girls.
Infantiman Girls.
Yes, so she went to Infantiman Girls. We've been married since 1988.
88.
Yes. So, you know, we had a very interesting
Love story.
approach towards marriage. So we did the traditional marriage
Engagement.
in 88. And then went on from there to register our marriage. And then 2 years later, in 1990, had
The church wedding.
church wedding.
Wow.
So we always struggle to determine which anniversary we are celebrating. If you take the church one, this year, or last week, that was 30 years of marriage. But if you take the traditional one, we married for 32 years.
32
so
years.
I always leave people to decide.
I think I'll go for the 32.
Which one they want, you know. Yeah. But it's been a very interesting relationship for these years.
Yeah, she's been supportive.
Extremely so, yes. I have no reason to complain. Yeah. We have 2 children.
Okay.
James is a chemical engineer.
Okay.
He's married and has a wife and 2 sons. So
Okay.
I have 2
Two
grandchildren. Yes. And then my daughter is still a student. So this is the nuclear family.
Okay.
I do have a very close relationship with my, apart from my wife and children, we have a very, very good relationship. We also have all these nephews and nieces who...
Extended family.
Precisely.
You're a family man.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. I try very hard to be there for everybody.
For everybody.
By the nature of my work, I'm away for very frequent periods.
Okay.
I travel quite a lot, which means that when I'm here, I've got to make time for everybody.
For everybody.
And I try very much to do that. It's not always easy, but it's got to be done.
Yeah.
So you come home and you are making family happy and making friends happy. It's not easy.
You have to sort everybody.
Precisely. Precisely.
That's fine. Yeah. So what's your favorite, when you come to Accra, when you come home, I mean, what's your favorite food? What do you like to eat?
You know,
Call me.
The funny thing is, almost every morning, my wife will ask me, what do you want to eat this evening?
Okay.
And I will say anything. It's a ritual that we go through. What do you want to eat this evening? I will say anything.
Anything.
And I will argue for a few seconds, and I will settle on something. It doesn't really matter. You know, I'm one person who enjoys many different things. If you push me, so what's your favorite? I'll tell you banku and okra stew. If you push me,
that's number one.
That's number one. If you push me further, it's kinky and fish. You know. After that, if you keep pushing me, I'll just name things for you. You know? But I'm not very
selective.
When it comes to food, I'm not very picky.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not very picky. I whatever is simple, you know. There's one thing I must say. I do enjoy different types of food. So when I travel, for example, anywhere I go to in the world, I like to eat their food. Okay. So I read a type of Ghanaian that will go and live in New York
and miss home food.
And miss fufu and kinky. If I find it, I will eat it. But I will not spend my time looking for Ghanaian food to eat when I'm outside. I'd rather have something American. If I'm in Italy, I'll eat something Italian. If I'm in China, I look for Chinese food. If I'm in India, I eat Indian
Have you
food.
tried the frogs before?
No, I haven't.
In China?
I haven't. I like to stay with things that I know I'm quite comfortable with. Yes. If I'm in Brazil, I eat Brazilian food. I won't go to Brazil and be importing food from Ghana. Okay. Okay. You know? Okay. So that's my approach to food.
That's interesting to know. So what makes you happy as a person?
What makes me happy?
Yeah.
It's I haven't thought about it before until you asked me that question. Many things make me happy. Many things make me happy. Seeing the success of children, seeing the success of my friends' children, seeing the success of my nephews, nieces, and so on, makes me happy. Okay. It's even when I was Vice Chancellor, watching students leave the university and make something out of their lives made me happy.
Makes you happy as a person.
So today, I'm very happy when I go to some place, a bank, a hospital, a school, and somebody walks to me and says, "Oh, Prof, you are my Vice Chancellor." That makes me happy. Especially if they are doing something that they are proud of. Yeah. You know, that's where I get the most satisfaction. One of the happiest moments in my life has been sitting at an airport in Lusaka, Zambia, and watching a Zambian student walk to me. Because he heard somebody mention my name. Okay. And he said, I know that name. I read a book that you wrote.
Wow.
You know, it is those kinds of things that make me happy. It's when I see a Nigerian student who has never been to Ghana and says, I know your work.
Wow.
We used your work. It fills me with pride. You know, so these are the things that make me happy. I'm happy about the fact that I've done something
To
that
impact
somebody finds
other
useful.
people's
Somebody
lives.
finds useful. I enjoy that, yes.
That's self-actualization.
Yes, I didn't know that expression until recently. But recently, I was trying to encourage a young colleague to spend some money on one of my courses. And she said to me, Prof, you have free your self-actualization.
Yeah.
Now it's my time to do mine, and you want me to spend my money on So that's when I learned the expression
Self-actualization. It comes from Maslow's hierarchy of
I didn't
needs.
do that.
Yeah. That's good. And
But I don't think there's ever going to be an end to self-actualization.
Okay.
No. I think I'm going to go into the next phase.
There are still stages.
self-actualization.
That's good. So currently you are on a new project, and that's the African Research Universities Alliance, and you are the General Secretary. So as General Secretary of the Alliance, what exactly do you do? Your portfolio?
I set the agenda
for
the organization. I mobilize resources. That's my main job. So basically, the network of 16 universities is designed to provide a platform for collaboration.
Okay.
The idea being that there's no African university that on its own will be able to do all the types of research that we talked about earlier and be able to impact
society
in
in
a
a positive
significant way. But if they work together, they will be able to do that. So you want to be able to exchange faculty members, you want to be able to exchange students, you want to be able to co-supervise students, and so on. That's what this is about. So my job is to coordinate that process. We determine what the agenda should be, what the areas of focus should be, and then raise resources to support that.
Yeah.
So, for example, we've identified 13 areas that we think will help African governments to achieve the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So we're interested in climate change, in food security, poverty and inequality, unemployment, water conservation, renewable energy, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
What we've done is managed to raise 20 million pounds.
That's big.
Yeah, 20 million pounds to support these 13 centers of excellence that we've created in the universities. You know, we hope that in the coming year we'll be able to more than double that
amount. But do we have a university here in Ghana as part of the project?
The University of Ghana is a part of that network.
Okay, so which aspect of the research is it looking at?
So there are people at the University of Ghana who are part of all 13 centers of excellence that we have. The University of Ghana is not hosting any
particular one,
yes, but it is associated with all the others.
All of them.
Yeah. We intend to grow the number of centers that we have with time, depending on resources. Over the next 2 years, it's my ambition to more than double what we've spent so far on them.
That's quite interesting.
I mean, the idea is basically, how do you incentivize young Africans involved in academia to do more research? How do you incentivize them to be able to compete with the best in the world? How do you make a young man a microbiologist at the University of Ghana, equip him to be able to do what he would have done had he remained at Cornell University after studying for a PhD? How do you make sure that when the young people come home, both men and women, they don't run back to those countries and say, oh, well, there's no equipment, there's no opportunity, there's no means to do what we would. So you want them to feel, even though they are working in Ghana, that they can do what they would have done had they remained in Germany. I studied in Germany for my PhD.
Okay.
When I finished and I was coming back in 1985, Ghana was a very difficult place. Everybody was saying to me, are you sure you want to go back to Ghana? If I was looking for an excuse, like many people, I would have found 1,001 excuses for remaining in Europe or going to America. I chose to come to Ghana. It's been a hard struggle for more than 30 years to get to where I am.
Yeah.
I don't think young people today have to go through that. It's our responsibility to make it better for them. Based on our experience, I have remained in Ghana because I've had access to some of the world's best universities and some of the world's best opportunities. So I can live in Ghana, and I've lived in Ghana, and being part of some of the best networks around the world. Networking. I'm a networking person. So it is these networks that helped me to achieve what I achieved.
Okay.
How do I help young Africans to be in such networks? That's the purpose of my life.
Okay.
So how do I get young people to be in such networks? So you are in Ghana, but you are part of a network operating at Harvard University, New South Wales, Australia, Arizona State, King's College in the UK. You are part of a network, and you are doing research, being published in some of the world's best journals. And you are getting famous, but you're also doing something relevant for Ghana. So Ghana gains, you gain, the world gains. It is possible. We've got to be ambitious. We got to think big. In Ghana, when you're thinking big, people think
you're arrogant.
You're arrogant. You're arrogant.
Yeah.
I always tell my young friends, don't worry about what they say about you. People always try to put you down. People always try to control you. Don't let anybody control you. Be ambitious. Strive for the best. For the best. Don't be content with being the best in Ghana. Be among the best in the world. And it's doable. We have so many local champions. We have so many people who are content with being local champions. But the world is a much bigger place. The world can contain all of us. We've got to make our mark in this world. We've got to go away one day knowing very well that we had some impact on some young person. That somebody's life, somebody's outlook on life changed because they saw you, because of what you did for them, whether they're men or women, So that's my approach to life.
I've just two questions and then we wrap up. The journey to the top, what would you say has been your secret, at least for our youth to learn from your example? And then the last one, how would you want to be remembered? So the first one first and then the second one.
The journey to the top.
Yes. How difficult?
I'm not sure I'm at the top yet.
You are Professor Aryeetey.
I'm not sure I'm at the top. But I know I'm happy with where I am.
Where you are.
I know I'm happy with that. It has not been easy. It's not as if I had a fair idea of where that top is going to be and then started making my journey towards it. As I said to you at the beginning of the interview, I have learned to take life one day at a time. And that's something I teach my children. Take life one day at a time. It doesn't mean don't make plans. You see, but you should make plans, but you should also know that every day comes with its own challenges. You've got to deal with them and then move on. So how do you do that? By being realistic. By being realistic with your ambitions, by knowing inside you what you can do. Your strengths. What you're capable of precisely. know what your strengths are, know what your
weaknesses.
So take advantage of your strengths. When you have a weakness, find how best to augment using somebody else's strength or your own weaknesses. So that's how I have approached. I getting to the top. I never sat down and said, I want to be successful. I want to be a successful academic. That's one thing I told myself, however. Whatever you're doing, do it well.
To the best of your abilities.
Precisely. And that's how I've always operated. If I'm an economist and I've been given some project to do, I do it well. If as a result of doing it well, other people are happy and offer me other opportunities and give me, I'll do it well. So my rise to the top, to go to you, has been gradual. Be quite incremental. You do something, somebody likes it, offers you opportunity, and you take it to the next step. So yes, it has always been like that. I didn't take any shortcuts, so I advise people don't take any shortcuts. So long as you do whatever you are doing well, it will be noticed by somebody who will give you more opportunities. And that has been my secret, if you call it so.
That's good. That's interesting to know. And then finally, Prof. Aryeetey, how would you want to be remembered many years to come?
I want to be remembered. I don't know whether I should be mischievous or not. No, I want to be remembered as somebody who came and spoke his mind. I like speaking my mind, even when it offends
other people.
Yes, but I'm not careless. So I say it, I speak my mind in a refined way.
In a refined way.
Yes. And so long as nobody tries to stop me from speaking my mind, I'll be happy. I want to be remembered for my convictions. I want to be remembered for being able to express my views about various things. I know that there are people who want me to be remembered differently. I know that.
So I want it from the horse's own mouth.
Yeah. I mean, I know. So I don't really care much about those people who want to be remembered differently. I've always stood by my convictions. I've always stood by my convictions. I've always done what I believe to be right, true. I've always taken advantage of my own strengths. And so I don't want any other motives to be assigned to them or to me. I have never been interested in destroying other people. I've done my work. And if you stood in my way, if you stood in my way trying to do my work, I had to push you aside. And that was always what got me into trouble.
Prof,
that
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you. We're indeed grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Anyway, the program has been Legends of Our Time on GBC News and Ghana Television. My guest for today has been a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ernest Aryeetey. My name is Gifty Ajay. Thank you so much for watching. We'll come your way same time next week. Until then, bye for now.